This episode is brought to you by Pseudo. Use the discount offer Large Marge to get 50% off your purchase today.
Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We liked our movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained as pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the favorite bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge Santa's podcast.
Dear Mr. Vernon, we accept the fact that we had to sacrifice a whole Saturday in detention for whatever it was we did wrong. But we think you're crazy to make us write an essay telling you who we think we are. And you see us as you want to see us. In the simplest terms, with the most convenient definitions. But what we found out is that each one of us is a brain, and an athlete,
And a basket case. A princess.
and a criminal. Does that answer your question? Sincerely yours, The Breakfast Club.
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Santa's podcast, your favorite podcast where Sweetie coughs into the mic as soon as I start talking. I'm your host, Sweetie.
And I'm Sweetie.
Your other host. And today, we did the Breakfast Club, which is a totally dumb name because I know the number one question on everyone's mind is why don't they eat breakfast in the Breakfast Club? I know it was on my mind.
It's just supposed to be that they're like meeting during breakfast time.
Can you please talk directly into the mic so the folks at home can hear you?
I know. I listen to past podcasts and I'm like, whoa, in and out, you can't hear me.
So you're very animated talking.
I am. I talk with my hands. I'm flip-flapping all around.
Woman.
It always said to me that they like met during like breakfast time.
Yeah, for the
They were
beginning of
in-
the day, but they really connected in the latter part of the afternoon.
Yeah, but it's just like apparently John Hughes' son, who was in high school when he was writing this, that was something they called kids who had this supposed Saturday detention, which like our school didn't have that.
No.
Pretty
Well,
sure, but we're
I
not
mean, they may have,
totally
but-
sure because we never had detention.
Yeah, we weren't bad.
But it just seems like a weird thing to have Saturday detention. Maybe we did. That kind of sounds familiar. I don't know.
Sunday school? No, that's church.
No.
Saturday school?
But it just seems like how can you make sure kids go to that? Like, what if their parents are like, "Oh my God, we're going away that weekend" or something like that? I don't know. It just seems like weekend you can't make kids like do shit because it's not school time.
Suspended or something if they don't show up.
Oh my God, do you remember like when we had some like crazy amounts of snow one year and we had Saturday school was like an option?
No.
And they ended up extending
Oh.
the school day like an hour.
No, we had to go an extra week in the summer. or
No,
something.
no, this was like some crazy thing where like, because legally you cannot go into July. And like that would have extended us into July, I'm sure. So like they put on, remember we had to go to school like an extra hour.
I don't remember this.
No?
It's really worth it though. We got so much more learning packed into that hour.
Oh yeah. No, it's totally bullshit.
Lots
But
of
yeah.
naps.
Anyway, guys, Breakfast Club.
Beef-ass Club.
Probably the most famous John Hughes film of the 80s. Would you agree, Sweetie?
I guess. Yeah. I mean, I think when people are like, name an 80s movie, I think this is like the number one thing that comes to people's mind and the thing that reminds people the most of the 80s, I guess.
Yeah.
And
And John Hughes. And for me, I think probably the one that stands up the most, I think, and is still one that like
it's the one I like the most.
the one I like most too, I think, for sure. Because there's like, I don't know, kind of like weirdness of the other ones that like doesn't really pan out over the decades, I feel like. But there's none of that really in this. I mean, there's some like 80s undertones and stuff, but like the great thing about this story is that it's sort of timeless because like no matter what generation you're in, like high school blows. Like it's a time when nobody likes themselves. Like most people don't like their parents and you kind of just like want to get out of there. And I think this is like, that's basically like what this movie's about in like a lot of
gist.
ways.
Who needs a sweetie synopsis? You just did it.
Yeah. But yeah, so Breakfast Club. I saw this movie for the first time when I was probably 11 or 12, so middle school.
Was it a sleepover?
What about you? No, I saw it on my own.
Wow. So mature. Yeah, I don't know exactly when. It was just one of those movies that was always on TV or like VH1 or something, and obviously was edited for television. I think Liz liked it a lot. You probably liked it a lot, and it was another case where you guys were watching it, and I was like, "What's this? I want to be cool and watch it too."
It felt like a very almost like rite of passage for me movie,
Right.
that like once you got old enough, you could be like, I'm going to watch The Breakfast Club and I'm going to get it.
Exactly. And when you see it when you're younger, you're like, wow, I can't wait to go to high school and then go to detention and fall in love with the bad boy.
Right.
And like you're like, that's my life. That's going to be my life.
Probably won't happen to you.
No.
Did
It's
not
gonna
happen to me.
anyone. But like
Didn't happen to
those,
Sweetie.
I can't speak for every high school, but like our high school didn't really have those tropes.
Yeah.
And so I think that like when I got to high school, I was like, well, this isn't The Breakfast Club. Like this is a disappointment.
Right. And like that's why I think not necessarily like John Hughes movies don't totally resonate with me. And I just think like, because that's my experience, and I kind of do that dumb thing where I'm like, well, if I didn't experience it, then nobody did. But I know that people do, and I know those tropes did exist, or else he wouldn't have written this. Right. But that's, I think, for me, why I don't think I like John Hughes movies as much as other people really like them.
Yeah.
Which I really wish I did. Like, I almost kind of wish I had that experience. I mean, I don't, but like sometimes I do, just so I could relate to these movies more, if you know what I mean. But I think this is still like a brilliant movie, and like watching this today, I'm like, man, this is like some great writing and like hilarious. The acting is great. Those kids are awesome.
Kids, loose term.
Yeah, well, I mean, a couple of them were 16, so I wish they almost cast all 16-year-olds. I think that would have been a good like exercise. And okay, like you're actually who you're playing. But we'll talk about that with the ages and characters and stuff. But I mean, I think this is going to be like a pretty quick synopsis, because like, what do you like summarize?
You think
for
so?
this? Oh,
Do
you
you?
some different going on?
No,
Something
not really.
new?
No, same old.
All right. I guess it's time for the Zoe synopsis.
Yes, it is. Don't you forget about me. It's beautiful.
I wrote down like a line to say, and I was trying to find it. That's why I was like dragging out my time. I was going to say, can you describe the ruckus? I remember that whole scene when I was little.
know.
I thought it was
me too. Me too.
hilarious thing.
I wrote that down. Also.
Ruckus
as well.
I still like to use the term ruckus.
Me too.
It's one I like to trot out.
It's
when
timeless.
I want, people to think I'm smart and using big like alternate words for things.
Okay.
So if there's a loud bang, I go, "What's that ruckus?"
Yes, it's funny. It's a funny bit.
That's funny.
It's a good bit.
You're funny.
Okay. Saturday morning, 7 a.m., Sherman High School, Illinois. Forget the zip code, but Brian said it in the beginning. No big deal. We got some kids. They're there for detention. We've got Brian, the nerd. We've got Claire, the prom queen. We've got Bender, the bad boy. We got Andy, the jock. And we got Allison, the weirdo. And they're there together. Just together, hanging out. Not really. They can't do anything. Anyways, there's this asshole principal who makes it his life goal to make these kids miserable because, like, it's punishment, whatever. The punishment is supposed to be that they can't do anything for 8 hours, which in my mind is that
how long school is? No.
I don't know. But he said detention was 8 hours, I think.
Wow.
Right? Didn't he?
Shouldn't it be the length of a school day?
I don't know. I mean, it was, like, kind of getting dark outside when they left, so.
Well, it was probably
Maybe it was,
like
4.
They got there at 7, right?
Yeah.
So,
But I mean, is that a good punishment?
7
What
to 3?
happened to the old-fashioned method of being like, here, do the janitor's job and, like, pick up trash? I think that's a better punishment. Like, if you're just sitting there, why is that punishment? I don't know. That's
why
questionable.
detention seems like stupid and useless to me.
That's why. Well, I thought you could do like you had to do like homework or something,
yeah.
or like something you didn't want to do. I don't know, but whatever. So they're there, and they all kind of hate each other, except for Claire and Andrew, who are sort of in the same social circle because they're jocks and they're popular. Everybody else is kind of like, I don't know these people. And Bender's just an asshole and causing a constant ruckus. He's really getting on everybody's nerves and blah, 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 blah. But throughout the day, they have just a journey, I'd say. An emotional journey that kind of proves to them that although they're different, they are the same.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I don't think it's really worth like going into details because we'll like talk about it with the different scenes and stuff. But like, you're right. Like, it's essentially like they come there in the beginning, not really even knowing each other's names, which like, again, like not super relatable to us because like our school wasn't that big. So like that would have never happened. Right. Like you wouldn't go to detention and not know like, what's your name, which is so interesting to me. But again, I know there's much larger high schools, obviously, than our tiny little Cape Cod regional school. So they don't know each other. And then clearly like Bender being the bad one, everyone like hates him, or at least like the preppy kids do. And then there becomes just sort of like them being in this situation. The detention is like an equalizer, right? Because like even though they're all from different, let's say like high school caste system, they're all in that one spot. So it's the one time when they're all kind of like in the same level playing field. And like that's when they can start to relate to each other. So then they start talking and it's like really mostly about their families. And watching this again, I'm like, wait, like, this movie is really about like how bad parents can like fuck you up because all of them have like parent issues.
Well, isn't that like the gist of most John Hughes movies?
I think.
I mean, like 16 Candles, they like forget her birthday.
Oh, totally. And it made me be like, and I think I even thought this like growing up. I was like, were parents in the 80s just like horrible, like neglectful parents? Because this was like all I knew of the 80s like movies was John Hughes' style of like,
Well, that's again why I had a hard time relating to his movies in this because I couldn't identify with that. I was like, I love my parents. Like, sorry, is that nerdy? I don't know. But because everyone else, it was the cool thing to do was have like bad parents and like hate your parents. I don't know. I mean, I grew up with Full House, so I'm not going to hate my parents.
Yeah.
It's just like, you just don't do that.
It's not like across the block, but this is for some reason like the common thing in this, like all those kids do. So they all like start bonding on basically like how much their parents ignore them or in some cases like abuse them
and how they have the same insecurities.
Yeah. So it is. And so you realize that even though they're all, like Sweetie said in the beginning, and this is obviously the big line at the end, a geek, a basket case, a jock, a princess, like we're actually all those people in one person. Like everyone has characteristics of all of those people. Which is like a really neat concept and super smart, right? But it's an interesting arc that they like put these kids in, and you don't know if they're going to be friends like after. And they do make that point in the movie because they're like, "Well, are we going to be friends on Monday? Are we even friends now? Like we're just like thrown into this situation." Even though that there's all that like weird injected romance into, which I think we'll talk about.
Questionable,
but so by the end they part ways. School is done. And even the like crazy principal like learns a thing or two with a lecture from the janitor Carl.
Yeah.
It's not the kids that are changing, Paul.
Paul.
Is his name Paul?
I
just
don't know.
guessed that.
No, that's his real name, I think.
Oh.
Paul Gleason. Oh. His name's Dick. Richard.
Dick, sorry. It's not the kids that are changing, Dick. It's you.
So what does that mean?
Well, just that you get, as like you just get more intolerant of people and things when you get older. And it's the same conversation the kids have when they're like, are we going to turn into our parents? And Allison goes, that's inescapable. And it's not as I'm growing up as an older person, it's not I always thought it was like, there's that old thing, I'm turning into my mother, which like for the record, like I hope I turn to Carol because she's fucking awesome. Like I hope that happens to me. I'll be lucky. But that old line, I'm turning into my mother, and like you never thought you would. But it's not that you're turning into your parents. You just become adults. Right. Like life weighs on you. No matter how great your life is, like being an adult versus being a kid in most cases is like really tough. And it makes you into like kind of a cynical person who yells at people all the time because you're sick of bullshit. Yeah. And you've been through stuff.
Sick of the game.
Right? Do you agree with that or not?
No, yeah, totally. you can't. I mean, I was an adult basically. My senior year of college, I turned 70 years old all of a sudden.
You're an old soul.
And I was like, what? What is this?
Yeah.
Oh, Lordy. And it sucks, but I kind of like it. And I'm fine with it. It's also kind of, I feel like, do you think John Hughes ripped this storyline from All Quiet on the Western Front, or is it just me?
I don't remember what the plot of that is. I mean, I know where it takes place, but like
World War I.
Yes.
We're in a trench. And we got, U.S. and then we got a German guy, and they like kill each other, or they're about to, and they're like, whoa, wait a minute. We're the same. Why are we fighting? Why are we fighting?
Probably his favorite book.
It just reminded me of that. But yes, the movie is great, and it's one of those movies that takes place all in one day and one time and one setting, which I think is pretty rare.
Right.
I couldn't think of any. I was trying to think of other movies that do that, and
That's
I hit a stumbling block. I was like,
16 Candles also takes place
also
in one day.
but not in the same setting. So I was trying to think of one, what's a movie that takes place in one place. I couldn't think of one.
Yeah, there's definitely. I mean, I love that sort of, and actually, I think that's also why I really like this one as a standout John Hughes, because it's just such an interesting narrative and scene kind of thing that he did there, with it just be okay, you have very limited cast, you have a limited setting, they're all there, and how you can make this really creative movie with all those limitations, I think was just so cool. And I don't know if that was mind blowing for a teenage, whatever you called his genre of movies. That's not well, they're not rom-coms. High school
teen comedies. Yeah. I don't know. And this is also, I would say, the most serious of his movies.
So many tears.
Everyone's crying.
I cried in this. I'll talk about that rite of passage thing. So I remember I saw this when I was 11 or 12, like I said. And the scene when they're all in the confession circle, telling them why they're in detention. And I cried during it, and I felt so special. I was like, oh my God, the Breakfast Club made me cry. I'm basically a teenager. And I was 11. So I was they're you're so excited to be a teen.
Yes.
Even though that ends up being the worst time ever.
I can't wait to get my period.
Oh, I can't wait to get my period, and it's the worst.
Yeah.
Why wait to get your damn
Story of your
period
life.
is the worst.
Yeah, the worst.
And everything else that accompanies being a teen. But but I just remember being I think it was probably the I mean, the funny thing about that scene is that the reasons are so ridiculous that they're in detention, but it was definitely the Emilio Estevez crying scene where he's talking about his dad, and he's "Don't be a loser, Brian. Win, win, win." I remember being "Oh my God!"
And now we're
or Andrew. I call him Brian. Yeah. Or then I think the Brian scene too, because I don't even know if I really got the whole flare gun joke thing. I was he tried to kill himself.
well, a couple things on that. So I think that Brian's reason for why he's in detention is really chilling, obviously, to hear about now. And because you don't of course, if you're watching this today, you hear he brought a gun to school. Immediately in your head, you're thinking he's using it on other people, but his intention was to use it on himself, which is obviously a testament to the times. Even though there is that "I don't like Mondays" slogan written on the walls in the beginning, which is about a school shooting, and so I think maybe we're supposed to draw that parallel. But as soon as he said that he brought a gun to school, everybody was so horrified because they thought he was going to kill himself, and that is what he was going to do. But in my mind, I'm oh my God, he was going to kill everyone because he got an effing shop. But so that scares me, first of all. B, the part that I think is truly sad in that scene specifically is when Brian asks Claire if she's gonna be nice to him or if she considers him his friend, and she's honestly no. And then he does the best realistic cry in that scene I've ever seen. He's trying to hide it. Yeah, he's trying to hide it, and you just see him getting a little sad. He does the weird fault, his mouth kind of falters. It's just very realistic to me, and I really enjoyed that. Good job, Anthony Michael Hall. Really fed that to me. But that's the scene that always makes me a little bit choked up. I wasn't crying, but I was oh, Brian.
Yeah. He's definitely my favorite B-fast clubber.
Oh.
Why? Who's your favorite?
Allison.
Oh,
the
interesting.
shows.
Well, it's interesting. We picked both the geeks.
of course, because those are the interesting
Because
people.
we're the geeks. Just kidding.
No, but I mean, they're just always the most interesting one. Like, you don't. Claire is the worst, and if you pick her, then
She doesn't
forget
even
it.
get a good arc.
She doesn't get redeemed, and she's doesn't say why she's in detention. First of all, so like we
Why?
still don't know. We can come up with theories, I suppose.
But why would you just leave that one character
Right. It doesn't
out
make
when
sense.
everyone else is telling? It
doesn't make sense.
Does it get? I'm like thinking maybe it got revealed when she was in the car with her dad and we just missed it or something. No,
Oh,
does she
maybe.
say anything? We were just like you just glaze over that part because you're like, oh, they get dropped off, like whatever.
Maybe, yeah.
Because
I'm
like
sure
maybe
someone
it
will
was
tell us
just
on
a
Twitter.
skip school or like something like that.
That's why.
Because it seems so weird that they would leave one person out, and even if like the other one, like Bender, that it's mentioned by the principal, but that could be easily missed too.
What?
Like,
What was his?
so he set off a fire alarm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just thought he was just always perpetually bad, so that's why he was.
I mean,
there.
he is,
He's got,
but,
a
like-
constant seat there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is weird, and I just don't enjoy. Like, I like Molly Ringwald, and I like her in this, but I just hate that character, and I hate her arc, and I hate how she ends up with Bender, and I hate the romance there. The Andy and Allison one, I get because they kind of made that connection right early on,
Right.
where they're like, "Oh, my parents think I'm
And
invisible."
Andy, despite being popular, is not shallow.
did you say popular?
popular? Despite being popular, Andy is not like shallow, which maybe isn't really a characteristic for men to have anyway. I guess you could say. Like, is that maybe
He's different, but I don't think he's able to like have backbone. Like, I think he wants to, but when it comes down to it, I think Claire is right in that
Yeah.
like he obviously would not go up to them at school and say
right?
that.
No, definitely. But I don't find him being like a shallow person who's like obsessed with popularity and is like.
Yeah,
No.
I think his stuff is a little different.
Yeah,
It's like,
I mean, his is more popular based on that he's like this sports champion.
Yeah, that
because at least he has a skill that makes him likable. You know, like
Yes.
it makes him
Yeah.
why everyone thinks he's popular is because he's a good wrestler. Like Claire, everyone likes because she has nice hair and like boots,
nice
and that's
clothes
like
and is rich.
Bender's whole point,
right.
right?
Yeah, sweetie, I want to talk about headphones.
Lay it on me.
I did not know about wireless headphones. I mean, I knew about them, but I wasn't like, I need a pair. And now, Studio Sweden sent me a pair of wireless headphones, and it has changed my
Isn't
life.
it life changing? I
Oh
mean,
my God.
what are your favorite things about using wireless headphones?
Okay. My favorite thing is that my headphones don't get stuck on my coat and fall out of my ears. I just like free ball in, like just got them in the ears. Second thing, I don't need to hold my phone on summer days. In the winter, it's okay because you can just stick your phone in your pocket. But with this, I can just put the phone anywhere I want and the wireless headphones on. Second thing, vacuuming, I can't listen to podcasts because the vacuum's too loud. Now I just put in my wireless headphones, leave my phone over there. Bam, I got the music and the podcast
Yeah.
in my ear. It's amazing.
It's the greatest thing. I've had a couple different pairs of wireless headphones, but I haven't for a while. I got a new iPhone. I got like the fucking lame like iPhone earbuds. Annoying as hell. Got my new studios. Whoa.
They're great.
Obsessed. I got this really awesome pink pair. I got the sporty ones that like fit in your ear. They fit amazing and they're amazing quality. I've got to say, like, I've gotten some ones from like TJ Maxx. I've gotten the Beats ones, really expensive Beats ones that fell apart. These are great
These are
quality.
holding up.
I love how they fit right in your ear. They do not fall out. I worked out in mine. Like, do not fall out at all. Fit right in. A lot of times, sometimes I've had problems where like you'll get sweaty and they'll fall out. These do not fall out. I have been recommending these to people like right and left. And you lucky listeners, recommending them to you, and you can use our code to get 15% off.
15% off. Yes. Go to Studio, buy your headphones, and then put in the discount code Large Marge. That's going to give you 15% off your purchase.
Yep.
Do it. You won't regret it.
And they have lots of different styles.
several different
So they have
styles.
sporty styles. They have more casual ones. They have, those ones that go over the ear. So kind of pick
Yep.
your poison,
Yes.
if you will.
Yeah.
You will not be
You
disappointed.
will not.
So
yeah.
thank you,
So, yeah.
Studio.
Yes. Thanks, Studio. And buy your headphones today. Bye.
Bye.
So obviously, a couple standout scenes in this movie. Obviously, the scene, the confessional scene, is probably the top one, right? So there's that. Everybody goes through what they were there for. Everyone kind of says a little bit about their family. And then they go into special talents. And, not everybody. Wait, what are the other ones that people say? Allison can draw with her toes.
Yep.
Brian can make spaghetti. Great talent.
Boil that water.
It's really hard.
Get your far in life.
Andrew can tape all of our buns together.
Joke.
Great. Call back to the
back.
serious joke thing that he did to get in detention. And then Claire can do the best trick of all. She can put a tube of lipstick in her breasts and put it on her top lip. Wow.
It's so good.
Oh my God. I have never been more confused than when I was little and watched this movie and it was like waiting for a big she then does a flip. Like, I don't know. I was just waiting for something and I'm like, really? That's it? Everyone in that scene is Bender being like, what is this? Like,
and he has
great trick.
Like a great honest reaction. I mean, a couple things. So first of all, like Molly Ringwald is not actually have like breasts. So it's like, how does that why would that ever come to you as a trick as a flat chested woman, right? That seems kind of strange. Number two, like if you're John Hughes writing the script, he must have like seen that trick or known someone who had done it and like put it into that screenplay. Because there's just like nothing makes sense. And for the record, guys, we tried it. It's hard.
It's really hard.
We were making fun of Molly Ringwald like endlessly when we were watching this movie or her character. And it's hard. It's not as easy as it looks. She had a especially narrow, very tall tube of lipstick. So I will give it to her.
I think that
she had the correct prop.
Yeah,
we did not.
Smoothie uses her lipsticks too much, so it was like half full.
Well, so it's a lot harder than it looks.
So dumb. But I'm just so annoyed that like everybody cheers really loudly at the end and they're like clapping.
But don't
loudly.
you think they just feel bad for her because she was like excited that she could think of something
it was cool
that they like could think of something that she was good at she could think of it and was like, okay, yay, I got something, and then ended up being like the kind of the dumbest thing.
I don't know, and I still don't really get her gripes. Like, what is she upset with? Like, what is she upset about? That her friends put too much pressure on, that she like hates being popular because it's so hard living up to their expectations. It's not a good enough like arc there. There's just nothing there for me.
Okay. Well, I think that as we talked about in Can't Buy Me Love, right? So, like, same kind of thing where it was just like, and this was such an 80s movie theme, this, like, popularity, geeks against popular people.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, doesn't make sense. Not that now, but, like, again, I just think it's also our high school experience where, like, you had popular people and you were like, those kids are dumb. Like, I don't know. We just, like, didn't really have that. But I guess you could say, like, if popularity is this like kind of this some sort of drug to people and like you'll do anything to get it, and then once you get it, like you can't like see any other way how your life would be. So like that scene where she's like, I hate how like I have to go along with my friends even though I don't like what they do, because she wants to like keep that level of popularity. And like it is a really stupid reason, but like you could see how in high school when like your life is pretty shallow and you just don't have a lot going on, like why that would be the greatest thing. But I mean, there is that thing with Claire where and this is like most the kids, right? Like they obviously have unhappy families, and for her, it's like clearly like a divorced, her parents are like very unhappy married couple. And they like use her, she's not an only child, right? She says she has a brother. But maybe her brother is older, so he doesn't live there. And they use her to like pit against the other one. So you can see that like one instance where she's like, well, my mom says I am grounded, but like my dad says like just blow her off. And like that's like a weird parenting dynamic. If you ever think like if that ever happened to us, I mean that never happened to us.
Yeah.
That would be so weird because as parents you have to like work together. So imagine being that like wedge in between two adults who are dragging like an unhappy marriage onto kids. So that'll fuck you up too.
I guess.
So like, you should, I do not think that is a great character at all. And like, I agree, like she's kind of hopeless and sad. And it does not make sense at all why she goes from being like, Bender, I hate you, to then like going and visiting him in his like locked closet and kissing him on the neck, like very sexually, even though she's like a prude.
I don't get it. It's like it's just like that, like the law of 80s movies where like you have a boy and a girl, they have to get together. And it's just, I'm sad that Brian doesn't get anybody to fall in love with.
He's the best.
Like you could have added some other chick into the mix and everyone would have been happy. But no, he needs to be like the voice, he needs to write the paper, so he can't be involved with anyone. But I mean, I do find that weird, and I've always hated that, and I've always hated the end when she gives him her earring, and he's like, "Ooh, diamond stud," and puts it in, and he's like, "Yeah, badass," and you're like, "Nice diamond stud, Bender." It's just, I don't know. And again, we ask it every time, but did they make it?
No.
Do they continue this romance?
Monday rolled around, and Claire was like, "What's your name again?" Like, no.
But what about Allison and Andy?
I don't know.
I think that one's a little
and
more.
And again, like, I totally agree with you where I think, like, that is a better romance setup and that they do a good job being like, okay, like, there's some connection there. Because, like, Andy's really sweet and he wants to help her and she's obviously, like, calling out for help.
If he just ditches sports, he'll be fine. Like, I think he doesn't even
which
like
he
it
doesn't
anyways.
like it. Yeah, exactly. The thing I hate about this, and, like, granted, like, I'm a sucker for a good makeover. I'm not going to say that I don't like makeovers. However, I don't think that's who Allison is. I don't think Allison is someone who wears a froofy headband and a light pink shirt and she'd be happy. Like, it's one thing to, like, take off some, like, maybe some heavy eyeliner and, like, brush your hair out of your eyes.
Yeah.
And that. But, like, to give, basically for Claire to be like, well, for Andy to even pay attention to you, you have to look like me, is, like, a super weird message when the whole message of this film is, like, everyone is kind of, like, fucked up anyway and you should just be yourself.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's the exact message.
Right.
I kind of see it more as
Maybe not.
This was just waking him up to the fact that he liked her. Like, I think that, again, it was always like latently within him, and then once he like saw that there was something underneath there, really she just needed the headband, like, because he was like, I can see you, like, because her hair
like
is always
Claire
in
like
her.
figured that out or something, like, oh, like, let's just
I guess, I mean, really that's Claire's actual special talent, right? Makeovers. She should have done that. Like, Bender, follow me.
It's just
Snip,
she
snip.
just looks so uncomfortable when she like comes
I
out.
don't
and
think she continues that past this day. I think she'll go back to her regular self.
And
after
Andy
this.
will still like her.
Yeah, because he realizes that there's a person under there. I don't know. That's just like what. As a general rule, I do hate that trope of movies makeovers. Like, oh, the ugly girl who's really pretty. Like, she's all that, right? Where you're like, oh, he only likes her because she got a makeover. It's just bullshit.
Well, it's like give me the opposite, which is like the only thing I can think of is Can't Buy Me Love, where it's like Ron is Ron not Goldman, that's
Ronnie
Miller. Ronnie Miller, you know, it was a little bit more, he dressed like a geek and he had glasses, right? So that's the only other reverse I think I can think of off the top of my head.
Guy instead of girl?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sure there's other ones, but it's the same concept. Just because it's a guy doesn't mean it's different.
Well, no, it is, because like women, it's all about what you look like, and that's how people will like you.
Well, the guys, but that's same with that. It was all about what he looked like.
No, well, I mean,
he still acted weird,
right? But that is the only way I can think of that. That's the only movie I've ever seen where it's been like that. I think it's just, I mean, it's just a bad message. Like, we're trying to get out of this message.
Oh,
that
I got it. Beauty and the Beast. Well, he's a beast, and then he gets the prince, and she's like, "Oh, I do love you." No, she loved him before that. You're right. That's a bad example.
No, I'm just saying that, like, I think we're just, you know, let's try to get away from that whole thing where it's like, okay, if you are a geek, like, let's take the glasses
be
off.
yourself. If
Just
you need
be
to
yourself.
do anything, just pluck your eyebrows a little bit. It's just, I'm fine with that.
If
but
someone doesn't like you because you wear glasses and like to read, like, they're not going to like you forever. You will not last in a relationship.
no, you're not going to make it.
Yeah. No, and it's just this is, I'm not saying this is still a good movie. I'm not saying
Yeah.
we're picking this apart in the lens that we are in right now, which is always like kind of a tricky thing. But I just, like, we've covered many 80s movies, obviously is what this podcast is about. And it's just like a big theme that I think has basically run its course at this point. So awesome. You guys, we succeeded. We won 35 years later.
Okay, let's talk about things we didn't know were in this movie because we always watch it on television.
It's only one.
No, I had a couple.
Wow.
So, well, for me, I didn't realize the marijuana scene was so long, I guess. Because that's definitely not in the TV version, I don't think. The part where Andy basically like fish bowls that room and then like has like a crazy day. I'm pretty sure they just show him coming out and then dancing. Like I don't remember that scene at all when I watched it when I was younger.
I wish they would do a little bit more realistic marijuana scenes where it wasn't just like, oh my God, take one hit and be like, ah. Like, let's have real life experiences for some people who smoke pot where you're like super paranoid, where you get immediately tired. Because like that was all my first experiences with pot. I'm like, where's like the fun giggly time? That didn't happen to me for like ever. I know it's a movie, they can't do that, but you know, wasn't anyone else confused when they smoked pot the first couple times and they're like, nothing's happening?
Yeah, totally. But so the biggest one that Sweetie and I both freaked out at and like yelled. Okay. So the scene where Bender, he gets exiled to the weird closet dungeon, escapes through the vents, comes back to the library, and then he has to hide under Andy and Claire's desk. And he's right in view of Claire's legs and her private parts. She's wearing a skirt. And he, like, makes big eyes, and he's like, ooh, and she... Doesn't she, like, do something and, like, trap his head, like, in her legs or something? So on TV, that scene is just you see him being excited and Claire like freaking out and closing her legs. Oh my God, you guys. There is like a 5-second crotch shot that I did not know existed. I am still very upset about it. It was so close. It was like a giant close up to somebody's white underwear. You can see like
You can see vulva.
You can see you can definitely see vulva. It's so upsetting. I have never been so upset, and it was just so sudden. It was like it just I don't know.
Yeah, it's so interesting because we really, I mean, this just tells you basically all of these movies that we cover we saw on TV mostly and didn't rent it from the video store because they were always on TV. And so we would always see the TV version, which clearly cut out like main parts. Or dirty parts, if you will.
Yeah.
So shocking to see just like a crotch. And it wasn't just like a blink. You were right. It was like a couple seconds of like silky pammy like vulva shot. Ugh. And then, but all going through my mind, I'm like, who is the crotch model? Like, who did they hire to be like, okay, so you're the crotch stand-in for Molly Ringwald. It's not in her contract.
Now I'm gonna film it.
She doesn't have crotch shots in her contract. So like this, you know, you have to take this over. Is she credited?
I doubt it. You didn't see anything on that in the trivia?
Would that be considered a body double?
Probably.
We should look that up.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll need to look it up. I'm very.
Oh my God, imagine being
concerned.
a crotch body double. Good call.
It could have been anybody. It could have been
You
like
have a
a camera assistant.
crotch.
They needed someone. They're like, "We'll give you $5 if you do this."
I mean, that was wild. That was like, wow. Was not expecting that. I mean, I almost
was like,
spit out my pancake.
it was like Basic Instinct level of like, oh my God.
what was happening?
It was just so upsetting. I just had no idea. I had no idea. I just wanted to talk about it. I'm glad I got it out of my system. Yeah. Wow. What else?
What are your thoughts on like just Judd Nelson and like in general in that role? Because as I was talking to you before we did this, like a bunch of the trivia. So Judd Nelson like approached this very like method acting. He was like a jerk to everyone, even when they weren't filming. He actually went to a high school and pretended to be a high schooler and like made up this whole story about how his like, I don't know. Oh, he bought beer for the kids with his fake ID, quote unquote, his real ID, because he was actually 25. And how him and John Hughes like didn't get along at all. And I think like when I used to watch this, I was like, ugh, Bender is like so gross. Like I hate him so much. But like watching this again, I'm like, wow, that's like a great performance.
Yes.
I was very
agree.
impressed.
I love him in the role. I think it's very great. There's like subtle kind of nuances mixed in there that you kind of miss if you're just kind of watching on this very surface kind of level. But when I was little, I was like, ew. And still today, actually, like, okay. love his performance, but I'm still not attracted to him in the least bit, which makes the Claire romance even more upsetting to me. Also, hate his floppy boots and the handkerchief that he wears around one because he's just like flopping around. How does he not fall on his face every 5 seconds?
What is the point of a floppy boot? Like, just get the fucking laces. I mean, that's got to be annoying. Honestly, like, my shoe is untied for like a millisecond. I'm like, stop the presses. I can't imagine having like, you're like what's that called? Like the tongue of your boot, like flapping around.
I don't get it.
And then, sorry, my biggest question, which I didn't even realize until we saw it this time, when he like goes and runs to the gymnasium to like distract the principal so the other kids can go back to the library, and he's like shooting baskets and has on like one random like sneaker high top. Like, where did he get that? Why was there one shoe in the gymnasium that he found?
It's another
It's
one of the world's biggest mysteries.
It's so weird.
It's very bizarre. But yeah, but he's great. He's great in it, and I love. I'm trying to think of the part that I was like, whoa, good actor alert. I think it's in the confession scene when Brian reveals that he brought a gun to school. I think it's that. Like, there's something in Bender's face that's like, wow, I don't have the biggest problems or something. There's just like something very subtle, like in his eye language there.
I was going to say the part where were you going to say another scene? When he does the scene where he's like making fun of Brian for having like a perfect family, and then he does an example of like what his family would be like. So then Andy calls him out on it. He's like, I think you're just lying. And he's like, oh, like, you know, do you think this, like, whatever, do you think this is lying? And shows like the scar on his arm with the cigar. So then they kind of get into this argument, and then that's when he pulls out the knife. Is that when he pulls out the knife?
Yeah.
And like kind of freaks out. But then he like freaks out and throws all this stuff off the whatever, like card catalog. And then jumps up on the stairwell and just like hangs his legs over. And you can see him like trying to be tough, but he can hear like Andy talking about him, and like just the way his like face reacts about being like, oh man.
Yeah,
like,
that's a good scene too.
You know, just almost like reflecting on what he just did, and you can just like see it in his eyes and almost like his like eyebrow expression. It's like kind of amazing.
Yeah, and he's just and he's funny. Like, even though he's an asshole, like most of what he says is pretty funny.
Yeah.
And I will say that realistically, a bad boy like that isn't supposed to be super attractive, handsome wise. Like, they're messes.
No.
They're hot messes.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, it's not going to be Brad Pitt being a bad boy.
Exactly. No, I don't think that really works.
You're right. The more I watch it, and the more now that we're older, I think we see that and understand that performance as being like pretty great. I would also say,
and like one more scene. So the crazy scene where like the principal goes and locks him in that little thing and ends up being like so creepy with him, in the sense that like, dude, you're like a principal and have taught for a while, and that you would talk to a kid like that who clearly has like huge problems, and even though like you know he's a pain in the ass to you, to like threatening a 16-year-old like that, like what is wrong with you? And just like his reaction finally, like he's such a tough guy, that principal, but he just like is basically just a little tiny scared kid in that closet, is like such an amazing scene, because you're just like, okay, so like no matter what, as you can play as tough as you want as a 16-year-old, you're still a kid with like no life experience. And when like an adult gets that way to you, like you're going to be like that way no matter what. It's like kind of crazy.
Yeah, that is a good scene.
Good scene.
Yeah. And then also on the great performance bar, I really think that Ali Sheedy's performance in this is really good. And I mean, specifically, I love that scene where she's telling Andy about that she's like invisible to her parents, and she just has like the perfect amount of like tears in her eyes. I love that scene. And I just like her character, because I find her to be the most interesting, because she has the most mystery. She is defined as a basket case, which no one uses that word anymore, but I assume, I mean, that's just like crazy, like whatever. I love the part where she like tells the whole story about having sex with her psychiatrist, and then it in turn gets Claire to be like, I'm a virgin, I've never done it. And she's like, I haven't done it either. I'm not a, what is the sex? I'm not a
nymphomaniac.
Nymphomaniac. I'm a compulsive liar. Like, it's so great. It's just so great. And the fact that she like dumps her purse out on the couch and there's all that shit in it, and it's just, you never know if she's actually crazy or if she just wants some kind of attention.
Yeah.
But she is an artist, so I'm confused about so maybe there is some truth there. I don't know, but it's still just shrouded in mystery, and I just really like that.
Yeah, and I just like that how that she's quiet and basically she's just like listening the whole time, which I always think is such like an interesting position, because you have like a movie where everyone is like, especially those 3 characters, and are like just talking, and she doesn't talk it, they said, until like 33 minutes into the movie or something like that, but she's like taking it all in and just watching everyone's stuff, so she gets like such a great read on people because she's not like filling the air with noise and trying to stand up for herself and anything. She's just kind of like listening.
And just the small fact that the only reason she's there is because she had nothing better to do. Like, she just like, that's her idea of like an interesting time.
Right.
And it made me think, like, is she always at detention? Probably not, because like the principal still doesn't know her name and like who she is, so maybe not. But I think that would be funny if like every week she like met a new group of people and like did this bonding exercise with all of them.
I mean, I think if you're talking about the future and where everyone ends up, she ends up being the most interesting person with the most interesting life. I'm just going to throw that out there and say, because I bet the rest of them just kind of followed on the predictable path, but hers was seemed much more open to be like who she wanted to be. Because because you don't know about her, she's not like a really like a defined trope, despite the or like character, despite the word basket case being thrown around, which like is sort of strange and outdated, and like the word witch or something. You're like, is that really like that?
Oh, someone Skyped you.
Oh my God, girl! I don't know. God, close that down.
I thought I did.
I don't know why. Like, no, you gotta like exit out of that. I feel bad. She's gonna be like, oh, sorry, not online.
Oh boy.
Anyway, yeah. So great. Let's talk about Molly Ringwald's career. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I've never really liked her. And I feel bad saying that.
Same. I know.
But everyone loved
bad,
her. And like, I watched 16 Candles recently for the first time ever, and I just did not like her. And I didn't understand the appeal. What is the appeal?
Yeah.
Somebody explain it to me.
Okay, so clearly John Hughes is muse, if you want to use that term, right? And I agree with you. I never got like anything that was going on with her. She's really pretty, and I said I like loved her hair in this. Like, she's a perfect color redhead. She's a beautiful, beautiful woman. I just never can relate to her or think she's like that great doing anything. Everyone else is great around her in all those movies, but I never am like, okay, like you are the greatest part of this movie and you're the muse, the supposed muse.
So annoying to me.
Yeah. And I can't. So she was such a muse to John Hughes, but I guess they apparently had like a falling out because she was kind of stuck in this like teen movie John Hughes rut and wanted to like do other things. And I guess they had like a falling out from that. But then she didn't really do anything else.
Yeah. Did she?
No.
She's made like cameos in other teen movies.
Right.
As an older, like, isn't she a flight attendant in something?
Or someone's mom in something like a movie?
In The Secret Life of the American Teenager. She was the mom in that.
Yeah.
But wasn't she like
that must
flight
be
attendant?
So hard when you're like, okay, I'm like somebody's muse and I'm on this like fast track to like glory. And then like you can't shake that. Like you can't get out of that and you can't do any more than like what you already did. And I don't know like what that would feel like if you're like, oh, I mean, I like almost like being a kid star.
Yeah.
I mean basically like a kid star and like going nowhere.
I mean, it sucks.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry, Molly. Sorry.
Yeah, John Hughes, I just never saw like what you saw in her.
Sorry. Yeah. Let us
like
know.
Almost the weakest part of all the movies to me, and I'm like, because like for this one, like we don't like that character, and like maybe you're not supposed to. For 16 Candles, like I basically like everybody else but her, you know, and then Pretty in Pink, like in Ducky and Annie Potts are like the best in that.
Yeah. Well, and 16 Candles is even worse because that super hot guy is like obsessed with her for no reason, and it really makes me upset. And I'm just like, why? She wears weird hats. Like, I don't like it. I just hate it. I hate it. But
I know. And she's just like so whiny.
Yes.
She's like whiny and everyone.
Hey, my birthday.
I like this hot guy and all his friends do coke and they don't like me. That's pretty pink.
Good one. Good impression.
But I am impressed by her sushi lunch in this. Her bento box.
So weird. I hope she had an ice pack to keep that fresh because ew.
Dude,
otherwise,
that lunch scene ripped
my
me
God.
apart. It was hilarious.
That is definitely one of my favorite parts.
Oh my God. Andrew's lunch. I can't even handle it.
It's in a grocery bag.
Oh my God. Can you
It's
describe
like
it?
instead of a so
by
everybody
bit?
brings out their lunch. And everybody's got basically brown paper sacks, or Claire has like a Saks Fifth Avenue bag with a sushi bento box in it, whatever. Andy pulls out an actual grocery bag, a paper bag, but grocery sized. And he starts to unload. He's got a full bag of chips, not just a regular size, but I would venture to guess family size. That is a family size bag
Did
of
they
chips.
even have snack bags then? The little snack sandwich bags.
I don't know,
that
but
literally give you 3 chips, and you're like, "This is."
I don't
worth
know,
it.
but it wasn't that. It was definitely a family size bags of knockoff Lay's potato chips. Number 1. Number 2,
2, 3, 4, and
was
5.
the sandwiches. So he pulls out not 1, not 2, but 3 sandwiches, which seem to be composed primarily of lettuce. And okay, whatever, that's
Okay,
weird.
props to Department.
Number 3, a whole bag of cookies. Which also are probably like a knockoff, like Entman's kind of like chocolate chip cookie. Whole bag, not one eaten. It's a fresh bag. Lastly, he puts the bag back and is like, "Whoops, forgot this."
No, you forgot the carton of milk.
Oh,
Quart of milk.
1 quart of milk,
Yeah.
which is 4 cups,
Yes.
right? I'm gonna guess it's whole milk, but you never know. And then lastly, he puts the bag back and is like, "Whoops, forgot something." Takes out, don't forget, the banana and the apple. And it's just like a complete lunch. So this is my question.
No, it was lunch for everyone in that room.
Right, right. But he's a wrestler, which I also do not understand, because the whole thing about wrestling is that you have to stay in that weight class, right? So why is he bulking up like that? Shouldn't he be?
Maybe he's under.
I don't know. I feel like most wrestlers
When was
have
his
an
meet?
eating
His
disorder.
meet was a week. Oh, he's like, I got a meet on Saturday. Like, I can't get in trouble again. Next Saturday, he had a meet. Yeah,
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's so... I didn't realize how crazy that whole like wrestling weight class thing is until I saw True Life. I have an eating disorder. And there was a wrestler in that who had an eating disorder, because you have to like stay in that. And I mean, I think most of them end up do. And I'm reading a book right now about that, about wrestlers. And it's just so weird to me. Like, ugh, I don't like this. Like,
No, it's so creepy.
but yeah,
running
that
on
scene
the
is
treadmill,
great.
sweat it
And
off.
then,
So funny.
and then Allison has a sandwich with like that disgusting, what is that called? Pimento loaf or
Yeah.
something, with like the bologna with like the olives in it. That is like, if somebody is like, what is barf like to you? That is
I'm sure
immediately
actually
what I
like
think of.
doesn't taste that bad.
We'd probably like it,
Yeah.
but it looks terrible.
It looks terrible.
So she like throws it up on the statue and it like sticks and then falls off. So she takes that off. So then I believe her sandwich is just butter.
Yeah.
And she takes these sugar sticks, which I guess are like pixie sticks, but just like sugar
you get
straws.
those? What are-
I'm sure there was like a
coffee
thing.
shops?
I don't know. And then like shakes them out, so her whole sandwich is covered in sugar. And then the piece de resistance, she takes cereal, maybe Captain Crunch, puts it on this sandwich, and then eats it. Now everyone's grossed out by this, and I'm thinking, that might be pretty good. It's like a candy snack. Like it's,
Yeah.
Would that be bad? Like delicious sugary cereal with sugar and butter? It might be good. I don't think we should judge. And then finally, Brian has a classic lunch with a thermos of soup and a sandwich and carrot sticks. Sweetie, question for you. What was in your thermos? Tell us all.
Yeah, I had like a brief thermos phase where I thought that would be like amazing. Because the thing that wowed me about thermoses when I was, in elementary school was that it could be either hot or cold. So if you're like, I want to bring like, I don't know why you would bring milk, but like, I don't know. That's like the first thing that dawns on me, because you could buy it
I brought milk.
in a thermos. Yeah.
I was gonna say, in my thermos, in my Beauty and the Beast thermos, I
did
had
milk.
chocolate milk.
Yeah, so maybe it was like that. So I remember that specifically too. But so you keep your milk cold, cool. But then, like as you're getting a little older, you're like, ooh, I could bring like soup to like lunch. So then you like could put soup in there; it would stay hot, and it seems like amazing. And I'm like, wait, should I get a thermos right now? Do they still sell thermoses?
Yeah, I think so. It's with the lunch boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a crazy concept. It's like that hot cold bag at the grocery store where you're like, you can put something cold in
Yeah,
it or
it just like
hot.
retains whatever it is.
Science is amazing, you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we had like dope lunches. I don't know if like, can we just talk about lunches for like a hot second? So we might have like talked about this before, but our dad was like an epic like brown bag lunch maker, like to the point where kids would be like, "Hey, can I have your?" I could have like sold my lunch. I would trade my lunch. I'd be like, I feel like tater tots today, and I would like give my lunch to my friends. It was awesome. Oh. So Dad loved the roll-ups. He was like big into the roll-ups, and he would do like a meat. So we either had turkey or ham, some cheese, and then for mine, he always did like ranch dressing instead of mayonnaise.
Did you request that?
Yeah, because I love ranch dressing. It was so good.
I think mine had butter.
But want to hear like kind of a sketchy part, but now it kind of makes my heart like melt. So Dad would always like get ready for work and like be like completely washed up with, and he like maybe wore like a lot of cologne, and like I don't even realize it now, but I guess this makes sense. So like I would eat my sandwich and I'd be like, turkey ranch dressing with like a hint of Calvin Klein Eternity.
Oh yeah.
So like that was his scent. It smelled like my sandwich tasted like his cologne because he would put it on his like body or hands and then not wash his hands and then make my sandwich, which is adorable.
Yeah, but the best part of lunches was like the side dish. Yeah. So like he went through like a potato sticks phase. And, like
right. So we always had the sandwich, like a side. So potato sticks, chips in a bag, perfectly portioned. It was like just enough chips. And then we always had a dessert. So this is when the Little Debbies came in.
Yeah.
So what were the Little Debbie traditions?
So we had, I mean, there's the classic, there's do we only have Little Debbie? We had Hostess sometimes, didn't we?
Yeah, it didn't matter. Didn't matter.
You get the classic Hostess black cupcake with the white icing on the top. Classic, of course. And then we had the different variations of zebra cakes. Although primarily, I think zebra cakes was like the main dessert we had. Right. But then for the holidays, they would venture out into the vast world.
I like the Christmas trees.
Christmas trees, which we decided together are the best. Yep. The sprinkles, I think, really make that. They make it great.
Yeah, and it's good like ratio of cake to frosting.
Right. So followed closely by the Valentine's Day heart, which was also good for some reason. Yeah. I just feel like the frosting was different on the inside, or was the cream. I don't know. But we had
the little brownies with the nuts where you just take off.
Brownies with the nuts, but I would take the nuts off. Yeah. Hated those nuts.
Yeah, occasional the Swiss Miss roll.
Swiss didn't like.
Oh, I love those.
I hated the Swiss Miss roll. Ugh. Loved the one that's basically just a bar of like caramel with like a cookie on it.
Oh, that one was so good.
A real good one. Yeah, that was a real good one.
Oh man.
And I don't know if you remember, but we had a bread.
What about the wafery kind of ones?
Nutty Buddy. Yeah. What are those called?
Yeah, it was like peanut butter in the wafer, or maybe chocolate. I forget. Those were amazing.
But remember, those were kept like in that weird like bread box we had, which was like not a classic bread box that's like on the counter. It was like part of the the drawer, and then this like
bottom,
little
bottom one.
Yeah, and then
the butcher block, like was it in the butcher block all the way to the right?
No, I think it was like in the actual counter space, like next to the stove, next to that. And then you like open the chute or like the latch of the bread box.
Oh,
and all the treats would be in it.
The stove,
yeah. And then all the desserts would be in there.
It's weird because we had like growing up, we had a kitchen, but then our parents like gutted our kitchen and made it brand new. So we really had like two kitchens growing up in our life. So you're like, was it like the old kitchen or the new kitchen?
I know.
Because all the stuff was in different spots.
Yeah.
Whoa. Oh my God, guys. Yeah. We had like the sickest packed lunch because like we weren't buy lunchers. I bought lunches for specific days.
Croissant day for show.
Yep. Rotini with meat sauce.
Rotini with meat sauce, tacos, pizza.
Yep. And then in high school, I would buy like tater tots. Like I said, I would never buy like a full lunch.
I stole cheeseburgers in high school.
Whoa.
I'll be honest.
Delinquent.
It was pretty easy.
Yeah. Well, I think that actually brings us to our next segment, which is what do you know about detention / did you ever get in trouble?
Okay, so Sweetie and I were both good kids. Like unbelievably good kids, where we had like I mean, I was like a little bit bad in high school, but not to the point where I'd get in trouble. Our oldest sister, Liz, was like a delinquent child. She like almost got arrested several times. And Sweetie and I were not like that at all. And I think the few times that we were bad were in elementary school. And they're like the dumbest stories ever. So, Sweetie, you can say yours first.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't know if it was just like I wasn't like creative enough to do bad things. Like it just didn't even like dawn on me. I don't know. And also like I had an intense fear of getting in trouble. I don't know. I just did not have that sort of, oh, like whatever, I'm a kid, I don't care. Like I cared so much about getting in trouble. So I have 2 instances from elementary school. So grade 4, this is the scene. Last day of school, second to last day of school maybe. Me and my friend Catherine Hurd were like best students in the class, and our teacher was like, who wants to clean up the classroom like while everyone else is at recess? We're like, we'll do it. So everyone's gone out of the classroom. We're like cleaning up the classroom, like scrubbing paint off and stuff. And then we like, for some reason, like, I don't know why we were near the teacher's desk, but we see the class list for next year on his desk. Now in our school, you wouldn't find out who your teacher was for the next year until your report card, which you'd get on the last day of school. So that's when you would find out. So it was like a couple days before. We see the class list. We're like, oh my God, this is amazing. So me and my friend learned that we're actually not in the same class, which was like super bummer. But we like memorize all the other classes. Really tiny school, maybe like 20 kids in each class. So it was pretty easy. And we go out to recess and spread it around to the whole recess. Like, you're in Mrs. Kleinfelter's class. You're in Miss Hensler's class. So it gets spread around. Somehow my teacher, Mr. Packett, like he must hear people like being like telling people what like class they're in, and he sits us all down. We come back from recess. He's like, I heard like people you guys know like who you have for teacher next year. Like, how'd you find out? And he starts asking every kid like one by one, like this public interrogation. So he's like, okay, Bobby, like, how did you find out? And Bobby's like, Charlie told me. He's like, Charlie, how'd you find out? Like, Jim told me. Going down the line. Finally, it goes to Catherine. Catherine, how'd you find out? Emily told me.
I mean, come on.
She totally threw me under the fucking bus. And then I'm the last one in the line. Emily, how did you find out? Literally, no one is left in the class. It's just me. I'm the beginning.
You could have set the janitor. Could have blamed it on Linda.
So I was like, I just like literally silent. I just like shrugged my shoulders. And this was like, I loved my 4th grade teacher, Mr. Packett, but he was very intimidating. He was this like really tall, big guy, like really nice, but like also like really kind of scary. And I just shrugged my shoulders. And he ended it at that, thank God. But it was like basically like...
So there's no repercussions
No, there was
from
repercussions.
that.
Because like, what were you going to do? And then my second time was that like we had these like chairs in 5th grade where like everyone had their certain chair. I had a blue one. I didn't want a fucking yellow one or an orange one. I love my damn blue chair. And we would have this thing where like kids would like steal your chair and we'd be like, fuck you, hell no. So we carved our initials on the back of it. So mine is EKD, the little carving. And a bunch of other kids did this too. So then like the next day, like my parents get a phone call being like, your kid destroyed school property. Like you have to pay like $50 for a new chair or something like that. Mom and Dad were pissed. But I was like, everybody else was doing it. Also, I think first of all, I was like, how did they know?
Lesson number 1.
Yeah.
Don't carve your initials into the chair.
But yeah,
but
literally like that was it. I never got in trouble, never skipped school, never got detention. I mean, like I
never
didn't even
skipped school in high school?
Nope, never skipped school in high school.
I mean, I think I was definitely a worse kid than you were, apparently. But I just never got caught because I am amazing. I'm a professional.
Spy.
I'm a professional. Okay, so in elementary school, I had 3 infractions on my record. Number 1, got in trouble in poo corner, which was during our library class where we just sat in the library and the librarian read us a book. So that was a class. If you were special, you got to go in poo corner with a friend and sit in there. And poo corner was like this magical little corner.
Awesome.
It was like it had curtains and it was like this little alcove in the reading room with like stuffed animals and pillows. It was amazing. Awesome. So me and my friend go in there, but we're too silly. We're laughing too much. We get in trouble. have to sit out at recess. So instead of detention, you had to like stand on the fence for recess, and you're like, you can't play for 15 minutes. It's supposed to be like the biggest punishment of all.
That sucks, though.
It did. So there was that. Number 2, I think I've told this story before, but I was a super class clown most of my life in elementary school. And in 5th grade especially is when I really blossomed.
What were you doing to be a class clown?
I was just always saying funny things and making people laugh. And in band practice, there was the clarinets. There was like 5 of us. And I was just... Our band teacher was telling us this like story about this song and how like it was like this old Renaissance thing. And he said something funny that I thought was funny, so I made everybody laugh. And he was like, "Okay, no more laughing. Like, the next person that laughs, like, we're canceling class." And I'm like, okay, we won't laugh anymore, Mr. Hollenderisic. And then I raised my hand, like, sorry, I have a question. And I was like, did they have turkey at this banquet? What? And everybody was like, and then he was like, "Get out."
I can't even see
so
this.
Band crisis was, it's the same way I am now.
I think
like,
you were a different person in school than you were at home.
At home,
Yeah.
sure, but like I don't know.
Oh my
Love
God.
that.
You were like an actress.
And, yes, I've always been an actress. Why don't you understand
I
this?
do understand.
Okay, so that was that. And then my worst one is in, I want to say 3rd grade maybe. My father bought me a pocket knife for Christmas or something because he always had a pocket knife. And so he like wanted me to have one instead of anybody
Handy.
else. I don't know.
Never know when you
It
might
was
need
like
it.
super nice. It was like a really nice like Swiss Army knife, like deluxe style. And I just thought it was the coolest thing, and I was so proud of it. And I think I brought it to school, just like not even thinking, like obviously that I would use it, just
There's
be
a
to like
giant knife
to be
in
like
it.
I have this. It's not giant. A pocket knife is like a teeny little like.
It's still a knife.
I know. So, so I wanted to impress the boys, and I was like, "Hey, I have a pocket knife in my pocket." And they were like, "No, you don't." And I was like, "Yes, I do." And I like took it out and showed them, and they fucking grabbed it and ran away with it. So I was so upset and mad that I went and told the teacher. I was like, Cameron stole my pocket knife. And she's like, "What?" "What do you mean?" And then they're like, "You can't bring a knife to school." And like, I almost got suspended. And there's this whole thing. And then it was like super embarrassing. And I made up a story that like I forgot I had it in my coat pocket, and then like whatever. So like I got away with it, as I usually do because I'm a great liar. But so then the worst part is like during gym class, the principal, oh my God, I can't remember his name right now.
Mr.
Shea, the principal, who's like top dog. I just never talked to him, so it's like he was a big deal. And he like came to gym class and like called me out, and he like gives me the pocket knife in a sealed like bubble wrap envelope and was like, "Put this in your backpack, like don't bring it to school again, like just make sure it doesn't happen again." I was like, "Okay." And it was just so upsetting. And I think after that, and Sweet and I talked about this too, we were like, those brief brushes with discipline, we were like, never again. I never want to be in trouble again. It's the worst.
I mean, basically, you're the elementary school bender.
Yeah.
With your knife.
Apparently.
But also, don't you think, like, with these memories that we just, like, rehash, like, okay, so how old were you for the pocket knife incident?
I think 3rd grade.
Okay. What are you, 8 in 3rd grade? You know how little you are? 8 years old? But didn't you feel like not 8 years old?
Yes, you felt so mature.
Yes, which is crazy because now you like look at kids who are 8 and you're like, oh my God, you're like a tiny little baby. Like like nothing is going on. And you felt like
I had a lot going on.
Yeah.
In
Well,
my
you
head.
think, I mean, it's just crazy.
my
Being a
head?
kid is nuts. And it's only until you're obviously much older when you're like, oh my God, I had no idea what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
And my life was like this tiny little bubble. And like, that is funny though, how they like reacted to someone with a pocket knife because clearly you weren't doing anything violent with it.
And
you
I was
weren't
like a perfect
You were
angel.
a good person. I think that's a little bit over. I mean, they must have just had a policy for that, but like, come on. Like, you use your head.
Yeah.
That's funny. Oh my God. Were mom and dad upset?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think we never really got like punished, so I don't think we're basically clear. We're like, I have a great life and I never get punished and I have diamond earrings.
Well, I mean, we weren't, but we were good kids.
They weren't those kind of parents. And like I don't know. I don't even know if Liz ever got grounded and she was a delinquent. Like, like, do you think, was she? Carol? I don't know. we'll ask Carol and let you know. But it was just, man.
Yeah. And
crazy.
we turned out great. So.
We turned out amazingly.
There you go.
Still to this day, the only bad thing I've done is stolen avocados at Stop and Shop.
Yeah.
Whoops.
I mean,
I was poor. I'm sorry.
We're upstanding citizens. Thank you, Mom and Dad.
That's all I've ever done. Like, I just hate doing bad things. And I always have. Do you ever have nightmares where you know you've done a bad thing? Like, you're in a car and you like hit at something and you know the cops are coming after you and you're like so upset about it. What does it mean?
My God,
oh
you've
my
like
God.
this internal
Did I
guilt.
kill someone by accident
Maybe
and don't know
in a
it?
past life.
Oh no, I don't know. But anyways, so that's our discipline. So obviously we have no idea about detention. We don't know what that is. So if you do have an idea about detention and know what it was like, let us know.
Yeah, tell us your
'Cause
detention
really-
stories. Because is it what it's like in the Breakfast Club? Like, let us know. What was
is the
Saturday
sitch?
detention like?
What
What was
is the
after school? I
sitch?
feel like we had after school detention.
Yeah, that sounds more.
Because we had something with like tardies, and if you like were
Tardiness.
tardy a bunch,
Yeah.
you had
Yeah,
to
what
like
happened
stay
there?
after school and do a detention.
Maybe.
Detention just seems like useless.
Right.
I don't know. It just is like, is that really a punishment? Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fascinating film.
Fascinating.
Sweetie,
Yes.
what would you do for $1 million? You know, the kids ask
$1 million.
that.
They do?
Yeah.
What
They're all
did-
sitting in the circle.
What did they say?
What would you do for $1 million? And
Oh,
that's
drive
when
to school
Allison's
naked.
like, yeah, and like I wouldn't do any sexual position because I've already done all of them.
Oh yeah. For $1 million, I don't. You can't just like think of something. Somebody has to be like, "Would you do this for $1 million?"
Well, I remember like a couple like years ago we did the like, how much money would people need to give you to shave your head?
right.
That
Okay.
one.
So there's that.
And my really cheap friend was like $1,000. I'm like, you're insane. $1,000 is like no money at all.
I
But
know.
she's like such a cheapskate. It would like fit so
my
perfectly.
God.
I laughed hysterically.
I would do it for $1 million. Sure.
Shave your head?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Oh my God, hair grows back.
Would you kill your cat?
No.
Good. I'm just
I mean,
checking.
that's a lot of money, but no.
I know. I wouldn't
Would
either.
you like steal shoplift? Like seriously shoplift?
What does seriously mean? What
Like
would I
put
need
a
to
bunch of
shoplift?
shit from a store into
What
your
kind of shit? Are we talking like a television?
clothes.
Oh, okay. Sure.
something you could easily do for $1
Yeah.
million? Like
Yeah,
chance
maybe.
getting
Yeah.
that in trouble?
Yeah, because then it's like, well, I mean, what's the punishment for that? Like
I don't know.
infraction, like $500 fee? Like, whoops, I don't know.
Would you I'm trying to think of like what else would be like you would not want to do.
The naked thing. Would I go streaking through the town?
Oh,
Probably
yeah.
not. I don't know. I'm not great with naked
For
stuff.
$1 million bucks?
I don't know. I'm not good at being.
It's a lot of money.
I know, but
Would you like take your pants off on? Okay, like it's a stop before your bus stop. This is what you do. You press the button for your stop, but then you take off your pants, so you have to ride like a little bit pantsless. But then you get to get off. $1 million?
okay, maybe. But I would be worried that you would get like a sex offender like thing attached to you, and they would arrest
But that's
you.
why you do it like when you're one stop away. So like you just. get
But
off.
there's cameras on the buses, and they would know who you were, and then they'd like post my picture on Boston.com and be like, "If anyone has any information on this woman, please contact us."
And then that's why you
And
have to
then they
shave
would
your
find
head
me.
because then no one will recognize you.
Oh God, I don't know. I mean, like
that's tough.
money is difficult.
Yeah.
I would really prefer it just fall in my lap and I get the money. Like I don't want to have to work for it.
The whole point is that you do something uncomfortable that you don't want to
No,
do.
but I don't want to. Then it won't be worth it. Then it's like dirty money. I'm like, ew. I took off my pants for this. Like gross. Can't.
Literally dirty money. Oh my God, that is funny. Okay. Well, guys.
Oh wait, sorry. One more thing.
Oh.
So there's this whole like side thing when they're talking, and Brian's like, I wanted to take shop because I thought it would be easy. Remember shop class? And like no one really took that in high school, but they did obviously. But were you afraid of shop class when you were little, like getting it? Because I'll tell you. So I believe this is an episode of Pete and Pete, where for some reason in Pete and Pete, like they don't pick their classes, they get assigned to them.
Okay.
So Pete goes to the mailbox, big older Pete, opens it, finds his class schedule, and sees shop, and it's like dun dun dun, and he has to go to shop with that teacher that has like the hook for a hand,
yeah.
and it's terrifying. And I just remember being like, oh my God, I hope I never get shop class. It just reminded me of that. I'm like, oh man.
Well, so in our middle school, 7th grade, you took home ec, so you took cooking.
boys and girls.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then 8th grade is shop. So everyone had to take
Oh, wow.
wood shop.
Scary.
And so I went to a charter school that year, so I never had to take shop. And then by the time you got to high school, that was an elective, so you had to
left out.
choose to do shop.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I never got. You didn't have to do
Me
it either.
neither.
Then.
Nope.
Yeah. So
Thank God.
that was pretty cool. I mean, that's interesting. You know, be able to work with wood. But like, I think they should do anyway. Not like shop classes where like make like a weird wooden sign that is like you're never gonna use again. Like
Liz made like a chair.
yeah. But like do stuff that is like fucking useful.
sorry.
Like learn how to change a fucking tire
Yeah.
or like I don't know, do car shit.
So embarrassing question, maybe embarrassing, maybe not. But so Brian tells that story about how he makes that lamp in shop class, but
Why
it's ceramic.
ceramics?
How do you make ceramic
know.
in wood shop?
I don't know.
Somebody explain it to me.
That was a weird story. And that whole thing so we learned that they ad-libbed that whole scene. So I believe it was probably a direction was given to them of like, here's your basic storyline, improv on this story. This is what happened to your character, like improv, whatever. But yeah, that never made sense to me. I was like shop ceramic, but like who knows? I mean, they have all these like kind of weird 80s stuff that I'm like, what is prep club?
Yeah, what's that? Like prepping for college, maybe?
Yeah, is that what that is?
Yeah.
But I just thought of like preps, like
Preppies.
preppy kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's some lingo in here because we're a little bit too young for this movie. Mm-hmm. Even though we're old now.
Yeah.
Where's the 90s Breakfast Club? Is there a 90s?
Well, there's
Breakfast
so
Club?
many references. Like Dawson's Creek did a whole Breakfast Club episode.
Oh my god, I love that episode. Oh my god, where
but, like-
Dawson and Joey kiss for the first time.
But it's like every television show has a reference to this. And then while we were watching this, like I asked Sweetie, I'm like, what is that music video in the 90s or the like early 2000s where they did like a parody of the Breakfast Club and the principal was in it? And we're like, I don't know. And I took like a half an hour trying to figure it out, and I couldn't figure it out. So I shot it to Twitter. Somebody came back immediately. Sally Mustard Sally. Sorry, I'm butchering it. She got it, and it was 18s, and I died. I was like, 18s? It's 18s. And then we watched the video. 18s is like a terrible Next Generation ABBA band. Oh, man. That really brought me back. It really brought me back. But yes, that was the answer. So thank you, Mustard Sally Mustard. I thought I wrote it down to like remember it, and I'm like, fuck, I fucked it up. I'm sorry.
Mustard
thank you
Sally.
But thank you so much
Guess
for
you
helping me
better
out.
slow the
I was
mustard down.
I was going crazy. I really thought I was going to
You
lose
basically
it.
missed the whole fucking
I
movie
did
because you were
I
looking
did.
for the damn
I did.
video.
It got to the point where I literally did a search of all music videos in the 90s and 2000s to see if it would come across, but it didn't. Anyways, so that's it. That's the last thing I just needed to shout out there to that person. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, well, glad we finally covered this one. Super pumped about it. Great film. Really enjoyed it. Excited to dive into more very famous John Hughes stuff. Always enjoyable. Always enjoyable.
I thought we just said that we didn't like John Hughes.
No, but they're very entertaining to watch, I will say. And they're very nostalgic. Again, just reminds me of being like, oh my God, I'm so cool. I'm watching these John Hughes movies and I'm only 12. And I get them completely. Just kidding, didn't at
I
all.
cried. Yeah, good times.
Yeah.
Totally cool. All right, well, TBD. We'll talk about those.
TBD.
But anyways, thanks guys for listening. Come find us on Twitter at the Sweetie Club or on Instagram at Large Marge. Sent us. Thanks for listening. Bye.